Want to make your crochet bend, bulge, wave without following a pattern? Today's the day we break the grid. Hey crochet friends, I'm Mo, your crochet companion, and in this episode of Layer and Play, we're ditching the straight rows and stitching outside of the lines, literally. We're diving into shaping slants and creative flow using two sneaky little tools, stitch height variation, short rows. This is where you stop crocheting like a robot and start building organic movement into your work like little yarn waves that dance when you look at them. Before we go too far, I just wanted to say I'm sure some of you have noticed my absence, and I'm so sorry. I've had some real life stuff that I needed to take care of, but I am back. I might not have as many posts every week, but I will be behind the scenes doing some stuff. I'm thinking of some creative ideas that I think that you guys are going to like. So make sure that you stick around. I've got some creative stuff, and just so it's also kind of a precursor to freeform. So a little sneak peek of what I'm going to be teaching you guys in the future. So keep in mind, it may not necessarily be exactly freeform, but it is a sneak peek into the actual freeform. So anyway, so what we're going to learn how to stitch height changes can shape your rows. Hello, dramatic slopes. How to use short rows without needing a math degree. How to create subtle curves, dips, and chunky side quests in your piece. And why you don't need a pattern to shape something beautiful. Okay, to start with, we're going to start with the stitch height playground. To do this, we're going to start with a row of your favorite base stitch, which is, I don't know, single crochet foundation row, HDC foundation row, double crochet foundation row, whatever it is that you want to do. This is all about you. This is part of the process of freeform. I gotta move, pardon me, I gotta move my camera up just a little bit. I don't have enough space to actually crochet. Okay, oh, and just so you guys see, I actually put a nail polish on in honor of coming back. Sparklies. One of the few girly things that I do. All right, so we're gonna start, I'm actually gonna do the double crochet foundation. So that's a chain of 3, yarn over, insert a hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So then we're just going to keep on going. And just to refresh your memory, I do have a couple videos out there that go over the foundation rows. There's the master one that includes all of the stitches, the single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, treble crochet, double treble crochet, and I think there was even an extra one out there, but and then I did break them down in 2 videos. So there's the masterclass one, which basically has those 2 videos in it. So you all have it in one single solitary place where you can watch them individually. Now you don't have to do any particular amount of stitches. This is just a playtime and practice. So we're learning stuff now, and then we'll create something later. That's the whole process. Learn, then create. Learn and create. I can't tell you how excited I am to be back. This is like has become one of my favorite things to do, is to teach others about this. All right, so now that we got our foundation row, we're going to play. So we're going to create the stitch height playground. So you can start with a single crochet, and maybe you want to do a double crochet. And then maybe you want to do a treble crochet. And then maybe you want to do a double treble crochet. I don't even think that was a double treble. Okay, treble is 2, double treble is 3. I always have to think of it like that. So double treble, and your row will rise and fall like a stitchy hill. So then maybe when we want to go back to the treble, so we're going to go back to the treble and then back to the double and then back to the single crochet, and then we'll just keep on doing this. Yeah, double, treble, double treble. Oh, gotta give myself a little extra yarn there. And then back to a treble, double. Hey, I didn't plan that, but it looks like I ended up having 3 little waves. Oh, let's put this in that last stitch maybe. There I go, teaching y'all what not to do. Don't do your stitches so tight you can't get your hook in there. So look at that. Now we got a wave. Woo. All right, so yep. So we reversed it. We went from short to tall and back from tall to short. And see how the shape slants the other way, and there you got it. You just reshaped your own row without a single increase or decrease. Okay, that was pretty simple, right? So now we're going to move on to the gentle slants and shape stacks. And this one is a kind of sort of similar to what we just did. The only difference is that you're going to just do several of the same thing. So instead of doing a single crochet, double treble, double treble, you're going to do several single crochets. And then you'll go to several double crochets. And then maybe you're going to go and do a couple of treble crochets. So basically you're basically doing the same thing. Basically doing the same thing, only difference is that you're doing it at a slower pace and several in the same way, you know, and then maybe we'll go back to a couple of doubles. And then maybe we'll go back to the single crochet here. And if you see what it just did, so by doing it that way, I actually reversed the wave that we just had. But you can continue with the wave and make it more pronounced or whatever it is that you want to do. Some people, you know, we might make a lot of different waves, but that's the joy of creating it that way. So that's just a gentle slope and a slant. Then you can maybe, let's go to the next row. So maybe the next row you want to start with a couple of doubles. So we're going to start with a couple doubles. Maybe you want to go several doubles. And then maybe you want to go back to singles. So you're going to go back to a couple singles. And then maybe you want to work a couple doubles or a couple triples just out of the blue, you know. Change that stitch height. So when you actually do that, when you go from a single to a treble, you're actually kind of creating a texture in itself. So as you see, I got 2 trebles here, and let's say we go back to the single. That just created a texture. But I like the slope better myself, and that's the way sometimes I do things when I'm doing free form. And I'm creating things like when I was doing a butterfly, that's how I did the butterflies, that I just created, instead of increasing, I just created volume by changing the stitch that I did. So I did like a double treble within a double treble. And it created that height where I wanted it. So it worked out really well. So at this point, you're shaping just by mixing heights, no rules, just flow. So you're letting the yarn talk to you at this point, unless you have something that's specific that you're trying to make it look like my example with the butterfly. You know, you can make a butterfly using this technique alone. Another technique that I used with the butterfly is the short rows made simple. So what I mean by that is short rows equal working part of a row, turning, and then going back. So I'll just go ahead and show you. So let's just go ahead and work a full row of double crochets, okay? Just to make it all the way across, double crochet all the way across. All the way across. Nope. I thought maybe I didn't even make my mark on that one. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to crochet with a camera in between me and you and my crochet. Okay, there we go. All right, so now let's go turn and go back the other way. But we're only going to work halfway across. And this is also a technique that I use when I created this, what kind of hat is this called? Oh, the newsboy hat. If you ever seen, if you look at my Instagram page from a few years back, I created a newsboy hat. And this is the technique that I use for creating the bill of the cap. So, all right, so we're going to just go part way across. So just to part way, let's go like halfway. That way it's more obvious. All right, so we went halfway. So now I'm going to turn and go back the other way. It seems so simple, right? But you'd be surprised at how many people just don't know that they can do something like that. I mean, that's kind of rebellious, right? You're not going to the end of the row. And that's how we create the shapes. But if you think about it, when you were a brand new crocheter, and I'm thinking of my colleague that I had that she just does it willy-nilly, right? So she didn't even realize that she was doing free form, even though she wasn't doing it intentionally. And quite often you see with brand new crocheters where they miss that one stitch, and so next thing they know, they have this weird wonky looking piece, right? Well, in this case, we're intentionally doing it, right? And as you can see, I turned my work and I went back the other way. You do that a few times and you build up a bump on one side. And then if you really want to, I'm going to throw a real ringer at you. You can actually go back the other way, right? And create a slope. This is the fun part. This is the fun part. This is what makes it freeform. So I'm going to crochet onto the end of the row, right? And then I'm going to grow off grid. And I'm going to crochet on the side of my work. So I'm just going to crochet in the side of my work here, just anywhere, doesn't matter, doesn't have to be perfect. This is what the layer and play is all about. You're playing with the textures, you're playing with the shapes, you're playing with what you can actually do with yarn. So when I have something like that, I usually throw a larger stitch in there to kind of even it out a little bit. But then you want to create an actual slope, so then you go down to the double crochet and then maybe another double crochet and then a single crochet and another single crochet if I can get it into that last one. Oof. Or you can even do a slip stitch. Now look at that. So I essentially created my own design and my own slope. Isn't that cool? So as you can see, we have a little bit of texture going on. So you got the wave at the bottom here, you got some weirdness going on here, and then it goes back normal, and then you do half of a row. You created a nice little bump, and then we created a hill essentially. Yep, and then you can, that's basically what we did. We returned to a full row and evened it out. And then you just created a hill, a slope, a ruffle starter. You're basically a yarn sculptor now. All right, well, short rows are the secret spice. They add shape without drama. You don't need a pattern to make magic. You need permission to play. Well, technically, we don't even need permission to play, right? We're not crocheting boxes here. We're crocheting with personality. And that's what we want. We want you to create with your mind and your heart. Not necessarily with your mind, but with your heart. Throw a random stitch in there. You know, create that wonderful slope. That's the whole fun of layer and play. And you're learning the pre-learn of freeform. All right, so that's it for our shaping adventure. You've learned how to tilt, lift, and stack your stitches in ways that break the mold, whether you're working on a sampler, a scarf, or your next masterpiece. You've now got the power to make it move. So next up, we're layering on top. We're taking front post, back post, ridges, overlays, and 3D flare, aka texture on texture deliciousness. Like this video, if you're feeling a little stitch happy, subscribe to keep building your crochet confidence, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a twisty, swirly, stitchy moment. Until next time, stay bendy, stay bold, and happy crocheting.